not about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. Trevor Sikkema Mike Renner here with you on the desk. Beautiful Thursday morning as we get ready to preview Thursday night football between the Arizona Cardinals, the New Orleans Saints, and honestly, we're previewing the rest of the games too. Normally, we do trivia on Thursdays. We're switching it up. Let you guys know, Mike's not going to be on the show tomorrow. It's okay. He didn't get fired. Maybe he did.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we're going to have a special guest tomorrow. We're going to kind of switch things up, and we're going to do trivia with our special guest because it's going to be a lot of fun. But on today's show, we're doing a lot of different things, Mike. We're talking about a lot of the games we're previewing. It's going to be like a normal Friday show. We're going to send out the bat signal once again for some players that are missing that need to show up. You're going to get our bold predictions. And we're going to preview our game of the week as well. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling great. I actually tried out the new Jeff Ruby's here in town last night. It was tremendous.
Which is a steakhouse.
Steakhouse,
just for everybody
yes.
to know. Which, hold on. I asked you before we started the show because you told me this. I asked you what you got at a steakhouse.
I know.
And you didn't get steak.
They didn't get steak. You got sushi and fish. But it was tremendous nonetheless.
Wait, sushi and fish? Like, did you get sushi and then a fish dish?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh. So at least you went all out.
Yeah, went all out. It was fantastic.
Okay.
So.
The outside, there are golden lions in front of this steakhouse. So if anybody is in Cincinnati,
it's easily the coolest restaurant in Cincinnati.
Go to Skyline Chili. No, I'm just kidding. Don't. Absolutely do not. Got to say what's up to everybody who's in the chat already. Y'all are absolutely popping off with the new tradition, which is just getting in the chat before the show even starts, naming a random NFL player. It's hilarious. So many great names. Jake Graham, who was the chat champ yesterday. What's up, Jake? He got in the chat and set the tone early. First name, Greg Salas, right off the bat. It's a good one.
Greg Salas has some drop issues, I will say that.
Yeah, but that counts. It's like a random NFL player.
Definitely random.
Fourth rounder from Hawaii.
Noel Devine in the chat. That's like blast from the past. The OG highlight tape from high school.
Who did you have one? Who was yours today?
Mine was Cato June.
Nice.
One of the OG undersized linebackers.
Colts legend.
Yeah.
Later Bucks legend. I mean, not really a Bucks legend, but I had Freddie Mitchell. I said Freddie Mitchell.
Yeah, Fred X.
Fred X, baby.
Surprised he never hacked it in like the media game, you know? Maybe just a little too outspoken. I feel like nowadays he would have been a bigger deal. Like he would have been on First Take.
I forgot what happened to that's a really good call out, actually. I forgot what happened to him after the Super Bowl, because remember before the Super Bowl, he was like, yeah, I got something for you, Rodney Harrison, and he like called him out by name. And then Harrison, after the Super Bowl, because Patriots beat the Eagles, said, oh, thank you to Freddie Mitchell for the extra motivation for us. And then I didn't realize that Freddie Mitchell responded and said, thank the steroids. It's the only reason why you're still in the league. I read that this morning when I thought of Freddie Mitchell, and I was like, geez, my guy. Just absolutely going after him. Julian said Brad Baxter. Ethan said Leotis McKelvin. Nice. It's a good one. Jake then said Ja'Kai Polite, and Philip just said no.
Yeah. I'd give a no to Ja'Kai Polite, too.
Yeah, I don't think that one counts. Zach says Keyshawn Martin. We had a Doug Martin shout-out. Yeah. Simon said Austin Collie. These are good ones. Adam Ahmad Plummer. Look at this. Love it. Love this tradition. This is absolutely fantastic. Y'all are killing it. Let's get the production guys into the suite. Who's got the mic? Quinn's still not here, so who's got the mic? Eli, you still got the mic?
Still got the mic.
Wow. Did you have to arm wrestle Stone for it, or did he just like give it up willingly?
He gave it to me. He wanted me to have the responsibility, so it's putting the pressure on me today.
Stone, this is pretty beta. I'm not gonna lie. You didn't even like arm wrestle him for it. I feel like we needed to have some sort of a competition. Eli, tell me right now, do you think you could beat Stone in an arm wrestling contest?
I think it'd be a good competition. I think Stone probably's got a little bit of strength on me, but I think I'd give him a good competition.
Stone's got meaty forearms.
Yeah, I would refuse to arm wrestle anyone. I've seen too many of those videos where the guy's arm snaps, and it's just like never. I will never arm wrestle.
I haven't seen that. I've seen the TikToks where the skinny dude ends up like beating the dudes who have like
monsters,
50-inch arms, but that's all I got. It's just all about technique. You are firing off random NFL names. Dustin Colquitt, Phil Lodeholt. Man, William Henderson. People in the chat are saying free Quinn. We don't have Quinn like locked up in the back. He's in Europe.
He's locked up in Europe.
He's doing all right. Well, do we have a question today from Quinn? We might as well get Quinn into the show. All right, fire it away. Let's get Quinn in here.
What's up, guys? The new Call of Duty campaign mode is out, and coincidentally, the Cardinals play this evening. The last time Kyler Murray made a start when Call of Duty released was November 15th, 2020, against the Buffalo Bills, a game they won 32-10. What was Kyler Murray's PFF grade in that game? We're going to do Price is Right rules, so closest guess without going over wins.
Quinn is killing these.
Yeah.
He's killing these questions from overseas. So, Call of Duty. Anybody who follows the Modern Warfare saga right now, it's coming out at midnight. The campaign's coming out at midnight. Multiplayer, we got to wait a little bit for it. Warzone shout out, we got to wait a little bit for it too. Last time this happened though, November 13th, 2020. Cardinals played the Bills. Came away victorious. 32-10, I think you said the final score was.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals had to play well.
Yeah.
It's had to be a good game from Kyler Murray. So what is the final score grade here? PFF now.
This must have been before the inevitable downturn that they took.
He said we're going Price is Right rules, so
Okay,
you
so no.
can't go over. It's
Okay.
closest without going over.
I'm going to roll with, I'm going to go 77.3.
Okay.
Something about that spoke to me. Solid game, nothing spectacular.
I was gonna go 79.9.
Okay.
Right on the cusp. Right on the cusp of 80. I think it's a solid one. Ooh, Matt said 62. Matt, it's not gonna be as low as the 62, man. They won.
I don't remember. Hand up, don't remember this game at all. Couldn't tell you a single thing about this.
That's because you were playing. You're
Yeah,
playing a new Call of Duty.
Playing Black Ops.
Everybody who obviously doesn't get this reference, this goes back to the contract clause that Kyler had in his new contract that was signed this offseason that said he needed to spend, 4 hours a week on independent film. Kyler is
A tiny amount.
an avid gamer, so people just speculated that he
Yeah.
wasn't watching film because he was playing Call of Duty. So then, yeah, here we are asking a question of the last time that Call of Duty came out. And I'm thinking 79.9. That's what I'm going.
77.3.
They won the game, so I think that it's got to be pretty solid for him. I think that's what I'm rolling with. Are you ready to do some bat signal?
Let's do it.
Okay. We've done the signal segment on this show before. We're going to call it the bat signal. And you guys who know about the superhero character Batman, you know what this is. Commissioner Gordon fires up the light when they need Batman, when someone needs to show up, when they need a hero. They don't know who he is, they don't know where he is, but they know that when they fly this signal in the sky, that he's going to see it. And we're going to do that for a couple of players today. Mike, who you shining the bat signal for? Who needs to show up? Who needs to really be there for his team?
First guy I'm highlighting is none other than Hunter Renfrow. Raiders, wide receiver. And yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, he had the injury at the end of that game in week 2. But when he has been healthy, 3 games, 105 yards, 14 catches, averaging, just over 7 yards a catch on the season, and also 3 fumbles. This Raiders offense was supposed to be, I don't want to say different than last year. It was supposed to be what carried this team. They had so much talent at the receiver position. It was supposed to be an explosive, fun offense to watch. It's been anything but. And Renfrow's kind of inability to be a factor in the games is a big part of that. And so now, obviously, coming off the bye week, back to the drawing board. Hopefully, Hunter Renfrow, big game on tap.
Yeah, they need him. I mean, this whole Raiders offensive situation just is not what we thought it was going to be. It's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
They do need a hero. Could be Hunter Renfrow. Could be third. He needs to live up to his third and Renfrow nickname.
I know.
And
it's the lack of, it's all underneath stuff that he's been targeted. Like his average depth of target's well under 10 yards at the moment. Like they can't just have Devontae Adams be the only downfield threat and Matt Collins the only downfield threats in that offense. Everyone has to get in the mix.
Okay. All right. Well, I got one that's. I never thought we'd be doing this here. I never thought that I would have to send the bat signal out for a guy that I've depended on.
Yeah, this one's wild.
In Vita Vea, Tampa Bay Buccaneers nose tackle. Where is Vita Vea? What is going on? There's so much that's kind of in turmoil in Tampa Bay, and a lot of people look at the injuries, some of the changes on the offensive line, not having Gronkowski, the receivers being hurt, everything. The things that they should be able to lean on no matter what, first and foremost, I would have told you it would have been Big Vita in the middle. And this year, he has career lows in so many different categories. 46.3 run defense grade. That is a career low. Negatively graded run plays, 15.8%. That's a career high, so that's the most he's having. But even more than that, the positively graded run plays, the ones where he's absolutely dictating, dominating the line of scrimmage, pushing guys into the backfield, not losing ground on the point of attack, even for double teams, all of that. He's at a career low 4.5% on positively graded plays. So it's not that when you watch the film against Vita, it's not as much he's getting blown off the ball, like he's way behind the line of scrimmage, all that. But they depend on this guy to hold that point of attack and be that anchor in the middle. Everything around the Bucs defense starts with Vita Vea in the middle and having that kind of success, being as dominant as he has been. And he's not that this year. I don't know what's up. I don't know if it's the contract. I don't know if, like Todd Bowles said, some guys are maybe coasting off the Super Bowl, still thinking about the Super Bowl, still thinking about the praise that they got as Super Bowl champions there. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on stuff that I'm not in the locker room, but man, he does not look like the same guy. The Bucs need him, and that bat signal needs to go up, and he needs to answer it.
He doesn't have a single run stop this season. How is that possible?
I don't know.
How is that possible?
I do not know, man.
It does speak to kind of a larger conversation that I was talking to you about the other day. It's that guys who are in the 340 plus range, 330 plus, like bigger human beings. I worry at that size from obviously we talk about like draft perspective, but also in the NFL giving big money to those guys because one minor injury when you're 350 pounds can impact you way more than a guy who's 250. Like playing through injuries at that size, just being injured at that size is more common. I do worry about, when you do give big money to these nose tackles, it's just a position that it's hard to be consistently good for a long time at when you have to carry that much weight.
Yeah, I got another one that I want to get to. Elijah Moore, the Jets wide receiver. I mean, where has Elijah Moore been? Now, the whole Jets team's a little bit better. And anytime that's the case, anytime you're really taking a jump up from being a bad team to a good team, which I think the Jets are on their way to doing, you're going to be figuring some stuff out. Where to play certain players. Like, I'm very intrigued to see what happens, like when the Lions get better at wide receiver, how they're going to deploy Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, it's kind of that same situation where there's not a lot of talent right now, so they're just force-feeding Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah. That felt like what it was with Elijah Moore last year to this year. They were just force-feeding this guy because they didn't have a lot of other options that they could go to. Last two games, Mike, Elijah Moore has one catch. His snap counts were in the 90s weeks 1 through 4. Last two games, 62%. Yet, he has the most receiving snaps on the team. He's only 5th in catches. That number at the bottom, though, is what I want to talk about most. 25.7% of his plays are coming from the slot. Garrett Wilson has over 50% of his plays coming from the slot. I would like to see those dudes kind of switch roles, be a little bit different. Let Garrett Wilson play as the outside wide receiver. Let Elijah Moore be that guy who's more in the slot. Garrett Wilson's average depth of target, I think, is around like 9.1. Elijah Moore's is, I think it's around like 13. It's a lot higher. It's in double digits for sure. Switch those guys. I loved what I saw from Garrett Wilson as an outside wide receiver at Ohio State. So that was the one for me, is that I'm sending out the bat signal for Elijah Moore. He needs to show up, but it's not like he hasn't been open. He certainly has. The production's just not there. We got to get this dude the ball. He's got to get more involved.
Yeah, I do think the Wilson addition, I don't want to say hurt him. Obviously, he's still the same guy, but that's the role you would envision for Elijah Moore when he was coming out of Ole Miss, is what Wilson's doing in that offense. And obviously, one's a top 10 pick, one's the 34th overall pick. You're gonna give the guy who you invested top 10 pick every chance to succeed and put him in the best role possible. But they're almost redundant in that offense, and you're trying to pigeonhole Elijah Moore into a pure outside role. As you mentioned, 14.4 is his average depth of target. They're trying to make him this downfield type of wide receiver. Yeah. And I think he can do that in time, but he was never that at Ole Miss. It's just going to be different because he never had to go one-on-one. He never had to, learn how to stack corners on vertical go balls at Ole Miss. Like, he was doing that from the slots. It's just a different skill set, and I think we're kind of seeing that here in year 2, that on those sort of routes, he really has not been effective.
Who's your next guy? Who do you got?
My next guy in this list, and this one's another one that's going to hit a little close to home for me, A.J. Dillon. Green Bay Packers running back. Packers run game has been fantastic, but it has been Aaron Jones carrying the bulk of the load. For whatever reason, they gave A.J. Dillon some extended run this past week, and he's just not been good. 3.9 yards per carry. His rushing grades dropped from 89.7 last year to 73.0 this year, despite the offensive line doing their job when Aaron Jones is in the game. Obviously, he's not getting the same success. And then as a receiver, one of the things this offseason was who's going to step up in this receiving game, feature the running backs more in the passing game. He has 4 drops already on 17 catchable targets. He has been nothing in the receiving game. Not dynamic after the catch, to say the least. Only 7 broken tackles on 73 rushes. Just not the guy who was, converting every 2-yard run into 4 or 5 yards to seize the go. It just looks completely different for whatever reason. He needs to show up if the Packers offense is going to get back on track.
Looking at the chat now, seeing some submissions that we have from the good people. Kyle Pitts, Coltrane92 said that the bat signal needs to be used for Kyle Pitts. Hey,
Graham's out the cage.
Got a touchdown. He got a touchdown. Grandma's out of the cage. Oh man,
He already answered the call.
What'd you say?
He already answered the bat signal. That was.
I mean, sort
that.
of. I think that people are saying that
Yeah.
he needs to actually be a superhero in that regard, so he needs to be more of a Batman there.
It's tough in that offense. 14 dropbacks in a game. Well, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but Arthur Smith was so good at getting the ball to tight ends when he was in Tennessee.
True. Yeah, just no game planning with him.
That's the surprising part. That's, of course, the surprising part to me.
This ain't fantasy football, Trev, though. This ain't fantasy.
Sure, yeah. Well, look, man, they're 6-0 against the spread. What do I know? Yeah. The next guy for me, last guy that I have that I'm sending out the bat signal for, I didn't realize that we were going to have 2 Raiders on this show, but I'm going to go with Chandler Jones.
Well, when you're 1-4.
I think that Chandler Jones needs to answer the call here. When you look at the stats that he's got so far this season, 0 sacks in the 5 games that the Raiders have played. 12.8 pass rush win percentage here on the season. Only a 4.1 pass rush productivity, which is a career low. That takes a lot of different things, not just sacks, but also pressures. What is pressures, hurries for productivity?
Hits
as well into account. That's a career low for Chandler Jones. I don't think he's played terrible. There are flashes with Chandler Jones. He has played well at times, but it seems like second halves, maybe he's getting a little gassed. He's just not as reliable as he used to be. And coming in there as a guy who had so many sacks, finished so many plays over the course of his career, defensive line play is more than just that number in that sack column. I understand that. But Jones still, even if you take that into account, is not being the disrupting force that he needs to be. Max Crosby's holding up his bargain on the other side. But Chandler Jones, man, he's got to show up for him.
That's the thing. $17 million a year they paid him. And you have a guy that people have to pay attention to on the other side. Like, it shouldn't. There's no excuses here for him in that role. He should be producing. But obviously that's why teams get wary about 32-year-olds signing in free agency. Why often they don't get those big deals, because when you're at that age, sometimes it goes and sometimes it goes quickly. So there's no guarantee that there is Chandler Jones out there to respond to this bat signal. The same Chandler Jones that we know from his Arizona days, from his Patriot days.
Right. You got one more? Bat
I have
signal?
one more.
Okay.
And this one, Miami Dolphins, few bat signal candidates on this team, but Xavier Howard is not playing like Xavier Howard of old in any way, shape, or form. In only 5 games this season, he's allowed 379 yards, almost 80 yards a game, and 5 touchdowns already over that span. That's the most, I believe, in the NFL. 151.2 passer rating.
Ooh.
Oh,
I didn't
not
realize
a single
that.
pick after he's been the pick master over the course of his career. Some of the best ball skills at the corner position. 15 picks over the last 2 seasons. Not a single one yet. Yes, the ball production is still there to some degree. 5 PBUs, but 69% completion percentage allowed on the season. Xavier Howard, this Dolphins defense, nowhere near the same teeth they had the past 2 seasons under Brian Flores. The play of Xavier Howard, big reason why.
Man, people in the chat are saying Terry McLaurin. I'm looking up Terry.
Terry, yeah.
I didn't think Terry's stats were that bad.
You know.
What?
You got Carson Wentz throwing in the ball. Like, what are you going to do? The unspoken.
His threat percentage is 14.2. That's wide receiver usage for those of you who are new to the show.
That's like, that shouldn't be.
How often he's getting targeted per receiving snap.
I will say, Heineke fucking loves throwing his way.
Well, I mean,
so
he
that's
should.
A good thing.
Terry's the best wide receiver on the team.
Yeah.
I think Curtis Samuel had like, what was, I just lost it here. Hold on. Curtis Samuel has 52 targets on the year. Terry McLaurin has 38. He's got 14 more targets than Terry McLaurin.
I mean, I can't hate Curtis Samuel, but
yeah, but come on,
man. You got to
use
Terry McLaurin a little
Where's
bit more.
the priorities here?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that it's got to you got to use some more. You got to use some more targets on Terry McLaurin. So that's a good one. That's a good shout out there for the chat. I think that was the biggest standout. CJ says Matthew Stafford. Stafford kind of is what it is.
That one you know why. It's the worst offensive line in the NFL.
The offensive line's terrible.
So
he was all right spreading the ball around. DJ Moore, sure, but what did Phil Walker have, or PJ Walker had one throw past the line of scrimmage last week? It's just not going to happen for DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
I mean, we can say DJ Moore every single time we do this category, but it's not going to happen. All right, that's it. That's all for the bat signal today. those are the superheroes that we're looking for, the guys that got to step up for their teams. Mike, we got an interesting matchup this week between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, a rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl, technically the 2019 season, but was played in 2020. That was, I feel like, what really propelled the Chiefs to have this we're favored against basically every team after that game. Mm-hmm. That is what it felt like. These two teams now matching up again. This one's in San Francisco. Niners are 3-3. Chiefs are 4-2. Coming off that loss to the Bills. What do you think about this game? Any areas that you point to as what could be a game of the week?
Well, I'm excited to see a couple of nice matchups in this game. One, Travis Kelce going up against that linebacking core for the San Francisco 49ers. Fred Warner, Travis Kelce, probably the best coverage linebacker against the best route running tight end in the NFL. That's obviously must-see TV anytime those two are matched up. And then just Mahomes against cover 3 over the course of his career. He's been the cover 3 killer, right? Over 70% completion percentage when faced with cover 3 over the course of his career. 8.7 yards per attempt versus cover 3. Like, he and Andy Reid, that offense has shredded it. 49ers still one of the few teams that has over 40% cover 3 usage. So that'll be interesting to see a couple of those matchups. And then obviously on the other side, hopefully Kansas City Chiefs secondary getting back healthy here soon.
Man, I went back and I just looked up some of the PFF stats from that Super Bowl game, and it was just so night and day what Mahomes and that offense were in the first 3 quarters versus the fourth quarter of that game. Mahomes' first 3 quarter, 57.2 passing grade, 3 turnover-worthy plays, and a QB rating of just 62.9. When you go to the fourth quarter, 66.8 passing grade, 2 big-time throws, over 100 quarterback rating, 100.4. Just completely different. That's true. I mean, that's kind of all where it started, man. You look at the injuries this week. The injuries, unfortunately, I wish both teams were fully healthy because that would make this one a lot more fun. But Nick Bosa, Trent Williams might return. They were still in the injury report. Talanoa Hufanga is still, I think, dealing with a concussion. I don't think he practiced early parts of this week. Mike McGlinchey, Eric Armstead, those guys both did not practice. Sucks, man. Yeah. That's unfortunately the story of this game is what are they going to do without the injuries?
Yeah, and that's fact of life. In the NFL, 18 weeks of the season. That's why when you play teams matters almost as much as who you play, because this isn't the 49ers. This with all those guys, if they don't play, this is not the 49ers. That's a different team altogether if those guys aren't in the game.
I'm curious to what the chat thinks. What do you guys think the game of the week is as we kind of go through the rest of the schedule and just preview any games that stick out to me? Mike, I'll go to you in a second if there's another one that really sticks out to you from this week's slate. But you got Buccaneers, Panthers. I certainly hope that the Buccaneers can actually do something against the Panthers. If not, this season's going to get really, really ugly. Falcons, Bengals.
It's a low-key good game here in town.
It is kind of a low-key good game.
Yeah.
Do you have any expectations for that one? Obviously, Falcons 6-0 against the spread, pretty great against expectations. Falcons, heavy rushing team. Do you think they'll be able to slow down the game enough to kind of keep things within striking distance towards the end with Cincinnati?
I want to see Jamar Chase versus A.J. Terrell, honestly. Terrell's been shadowing number ones for a good portion of this season, and if you're playing the Bengals, that's probably who you're going to shadow. So that's the matchup I want to watch in that one. And then on the other side, Bengals run D is really going to get tested. Falcons going to test run D every week in and week out. So I think those are the two matchups that I'm excited to see in that one. I have no real handle. I mean, I think the Bengals are the more complete team, but this Falcons team's spunky, man. They're spunky.
Yeah. No, I agree. Did the Jags get back in the win column this week against the Giants?
If they don't, it's over, right? I mean, it's kind of over, but if they don't, it's really over.
They're at a tough point in the schedule right now because Giants are obviously playing well. They're 5-1. They're going on the road. It's in Jacksonville. I think the Jags are still favored in this one, but even if you lose to a good Giants team, then the Jags are all of a sudden sitting there at 2-5, and like you said, it's kind of tough from that point.
Well, so that game, and also Colts-Titans this week, the AFC South will almost be decided because they've already all played each other. This will be the second time Colts face Titans. Colts have faced the Jags 2 times already. Like, that's already going to be decided. If the Colts lose this game, they could be behind the 8 ball. Titans could grab hold of this division and run away with that.
Seahawks-Chargers in LA. Chargers 3-3. Chargers are 4-2. Seahawks are 3-3. I got faith in the Seahawks, man. I said this earlier this week. They're a dog that I'm betting in every single time. If you're going to make them the underdog, what part of the Chargers' identity at this point tells you that they're going to blow out a team? I don't see it.
Nothing.
I got way more confidence picking the Seahawks than I do. Maybe I'm just looking at the best of the Seahawks, what Geno Smith is bringing to the table, what we saw from Kenneth Walker last week. Like, maybe I'm just looking at the best of, but I feel like I have more faith in what the Seahawks are doing and their confidence in their own identity than I do in what the Chargers are doing.
I mean, they can actually generate big plays, right? You have big play talent on that team, whether it's Kenny Walker at running back, whether it's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Those are big play wide receivers. Chargers do not have big plays from anywhere on that roster. I mean, Eckler is probably your most athletic, most dynamic threat, but he's running back. It's tough to get big plays out of that position.
Jared said Browns versus Ravens could have some big playoff implications. You got any thoughts on that one?
The Browns are reeling, and their run defense against this Ravens
That's
rushing
the biggest
attack,
problem, yes.
I do not trust. I do not have faith in them to figure it out against Lamar Jackson and company. I'm sorry.
I think I was upstairs before the show, and Ben Lindsay, I was just talking with him. I think he said that the Ravens average almost 10 yards a carry on read option plays, which is wild.
Yeah.
Almost a first down every time they run a read option play.
Maybe run that one again.
I think they're going to run that. I think they're going to run that plenty against against the Browns and their defense that just cannot stop the run. Man, it's just a massive problem in Cleveland with what they have there. Philip says Jets and Broncos, both teams are mysteries, and this game could clarify things. Do you agree with that? Both teams are mysteries, Broncos and Jets?
I don't think the Broncos are a mystery. I think we know what the Broncos are.
I think he's saying that the Broncos are a mystery because we go into every week thinking you look at the offensive playmakers they have, right? Yeah. You look at some of the run game that they have, and apparently Nathaniel Hackett talked with Melvin Gordon, and they had a good heart-to-heart, and Gordon's going to start this weekend, but
he's going to play. You
look at the defense. The defense it should be good on paper, but this should be a good team. So I think the mystery is, why isn't this team a good team?
Yeah, that is a good question, and they have not figured that one out yet, obviously, because we're 6 weeks in, they're still a bad team. So, but the Jets is more, the Jekyll and Hyde at the quarterback position is why they're what to do with the Jets. Because, Zach Wilson, if he breaks out, figures it out, whatever, lives up to the number 2 overall billing, this is a playoff team for sure. This is a team that can compete. If he looks like he did last week against the Packers, which is how he looked most of his rookie year, they're going to scrape by to go 500, just in that range this season.
All right. We got a couple more things that we want to talk about at the end of the show, but that's all we'll do for now. Let's revisit Question of the Day.
Mm-hmm.
Question of the Day was Call of Duty Kyler Murray related. We have a Call of Duty campaign coming out tonight. Kyler Murray plays tonight in reference to his contract clause about maybe not playing video games as much. Last time this happened, Kyler Murray got the win. What was his PFF grade? This is against Buffalo Bills in 2020. They won 32-10, I believe is what Quinn said the final score was. Mm-hmm. So you guys tell us what Kyler Murray's passing grade was the last time there was a Call of Duty release on the week that Kyler Murray was playing. I said 79.9.
Stick with my 77.3.
Okay, all right. I'm kind of Price is Right boxing you out a little bit there.
A little bit, it's fine.
Okay, I kind of am.
I hedged. I put a middling.
I feel a little bit about it, but not too bad about it. I can't lie to you. We're gonna get Ian Hartitz in here. Like we said, this is we're doing the Friday show on a Thursday show, so we're about to get Ian in here, and you guys can fire off your start-sit questions to Ian. Actually, I think we got him right now. Ian,
sweet.
Can you hear us, my friend?
Yeah, I think you're lying to the people, though. That Kyler game was when Hopkins caught that game-winning Hail Mary. It wasn't 32-10. Come on, guys.
Well, was it? What? Was it?
Was it 32-30?
Look, I can only...
Yeah, 32-30.
Look, if Quinn's lying to us, then Quinn's lying to us. We can do an investigation about it later. But I can only deal with the information that's being fed to me in my ear. I'm like Ron Burgundy. Anything that you put into this little IFB, Sikkema will read. All right, Ian, let's talk about some fantasy matchups and some players that you like this week. Speaking of DeAndre Hopkins, you have him as a must-start player on your start list. Tell me what you are expecting from Hopkins in his first game back this season.
He's back. We just got the Tom Pelissero report saying that he's not going to be limited. And why the hell would be? The guy has had 6 weeks to get ready. He's been sitting there staring at us on the fantasy bench for that long. And honestly, the biggest problem that there was going to be was kind of what happened last year. Just Kyler spreading the ball around to a bunch of available receivers. And unfortunately, the absence of Marquise Brown might not help the overall upside of that offense, but it is going to help Hopkins' bottom line when it comes to those total targets. So last year, I thought, the burial or calling him washed was a little bit overstated in those first 7 weeks. Wide receiver 12 in full PPR scoring. I'm being a little bit of a dick. That includes some of the buys, but wide receiver 17, even for looking at per game, someone that should be in the heavy majority of fantasy football lineups ahead of a matchup against a banged-up Saints defense that'll be without Marshawn Lattimore.
So you have Deontay Johnson as a start this week, despite the fact that he himself called for the benching of Mitch Trubisky after they got into a fight, reportedly, in the locker room a couple weeks ago. And now Trubisky's back starting. Explain to me why that's the case.
Well, now when you put that part in front of it, I don't feel as good about it, Mike. But no, I think in this one, it's just more of a matter of like when you watch Deontay this year, man, I was skeptical kind of coming into the year and in the past. Like that he was truly this top 10, top 15 talent. I just thought maybe it was a situation where he got peppered with a ton of targets that he might not in another offense. Even though he's yet to score a touchdown, he's averaging 55 receiving yards per game. You guys have watched him. This dude is so freaking good out there. And now this week against the Dolphins defense that has already kind of been mediocre this season. And now they lost Nick Needham to an Achilles injury. Byron Jones is no closer to coming off the PUP list. And that leaves Xavier Howard, who, hey, he's going out there, he's trying his best. You hold Justin Jefferson to 106 yards or whatever, and you might as well call that a victory. Xavier Howard last week was the first guy I've ever seen with, on the injury report, not groins, multiple groin injuries to the same football player at the same time. He's trying to play through the pain. I don't think that's going to be good enough against Deontay Johnson. To Mike's point, I would prefer if Kenny Pickett can get back under center. I'm not going to pretend to know how the current NFL concussion protocol works, but I did see a full practice on Wednesday, so hopefully we get the quarterback that doesn't hate Deontay quite as much.
Okay, you have on your sit list, you have Broncos. Is that like any Broncos offensive player, or is that the Broncos defense? Which one is this here?
No, I love the Broncos defense. That's fine. I'm not trying to go too far here, guys. But yeah, I think in terms of the offense, I mean, hell, it's not even like Russell Wilson last year wasn't the same Russ we knew. I mean, this Russ is arguably one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. The offense is the worst quarterback in the league. They've scored more than 16 points one time this season, this heralded offense. It's not just that they've been bad. They have been horrific. And accordingly, we have an offense that we can't trust the passing game right now while Russell Wilson is dealing with his hamstring injury. And even when he wasn't, it was already tough enough to get behind. Latavius Murray happened to take over last week. Nathaniel Hackett tells us that now Melvin Gordon's going to be back starting. I've been staying away from this backfield to begin with just because they wouldn't even give it a turn over to Javonte Williams. Why the hell would 42-year-old Latavius Murray or, we got Melvin Gordon out there fumbling every other time he touches it. I've never been convinced that Hackett was going to turn over this full backfield to anybody involved, let alone one of these backups now. So the running back situation is a mess. The passing game isn't looking good. We got Greg Dulcich going out, scoring like the most wide open 40-yard touchdown and people losing their minds over it. Any start-sit question involving a Bronco player that is at all close, I'll be taking the other guy.
You also had Brian Robinson Jr. on your sit list, the Washington Commanders running back, just weeks after coming back from the gunshots he took earlier this season. That was the most polite way to say it. But why do you hate feel-good stories here, Ian? Why do you hate feel-good stories?
Yeah, what's up?
I hate happiness. I'm just a bad person, but I do like winning fantasy football games. So that is my cross to bear. And I just think with Robinson, unfortunately, it's one of these things where just how good of a story it is kind of outweighing the reality of the situation. This Washington Commanders team, I believe, is the third worst team in the NFL in terms of point differential. And what have we watched with Antonio Gibson over the past 2 or 3 years? I mean, it's him going out there, making good use of his touches. Every single time they fall behind, it becomes a J.D. McKissic show. This actually happened 2 weeks ago when Robinson made his initial debut. It wasn't him leading the way. It wasn't Gibson leading the way. It was J.D. McKissic, who leads all running backs. Every single running back in the NFL, J.D. McKissic leads them in targets since 2020 in this offense led by Scott Turner. So it's one of those things where having McKissic in this offense, at least from a passing game perspective, it's like having an Alvin Kamara or a Christian McCaffrey there, just in terms of the volume they get in the passing game. And hey, McKissic's good in his own right, but truly, Robinson, he's also losing some touches to Gibson. In the year 2022, we can live with 2 running back committees, 3 and 4 in a bad offense. That's where things get tough. So last week, he had the 17 carries in a rare game where Washington was able to play neck and neck with the Bears throughout. I just think that with game script, with him just generally, being against a Packers defense that we know can play a little bit better out there, he's going to have to be awfully efficient with, I'm thinking, around 15 carries per week. And unfortunately, in full full PPR scoring when we reward a player 1 point for catching the ball the same amount as 10 rushing yards. These are not the type of players that we want to go out of our way to start.
All right, you ready to do some start and sit?
Mm-hmm.
You ready, Ian? You ready for some start and sit questions?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
T-Money 87 says Kenneth Walker or Travis Etienne this week.
Kenneth Walker, no doubt. Now, I will say, I think ETN has been really freaking good. I was saying on Twitter, and I always say a bunch of dumb shit on Twitter, but I feel like this dude was born like with the golden mushroom power up from Mario Kart. ETN is so fast out there. Sometimes I'm surprised he's not like, he had like a 40-yard run last week. He kind of got hawked, so maybe not the long speed. And that's also a factor of the golden mushroom. You don't really ever go quite as fast as you want. The explosion is great, though. But what Kenneth Walker was encouraging last week was just the fact they were willing to somewhat use him on passing downs. DJ Jallis still the guy in pure, 2-minute situations and third and longs and stuff, but total routes actually did lean towards Kenneth Walker. And again, that was the problem in Seattle going into the year. It was Walker, Rashad Penny, and even Travis Homer probably being the pass down back. Now you put Penny and Homer on IR, all you have left is Kenneth Walker. So there is not a James Robinson taken away from Walker in Seattle like there is in Jacksonville. Give me Walker 8 days of the week.
Yeah, you got to keep banging that golden mushroom again and again. All right, Eno Benjamin or A.J. Dillon this week?
I'm going to go, it'll be Dillon if James Conner ends up playing. I believe Conner is a game time decision. If not, we got to go with Eno Benjamin. Cliff Kingsbury, love him, probably hate him, but he is one of the only coaches in the NFL that's been consistently willing over the years to give his lead running back these true workhorse 80-90% snap roles. He did it with David Johnson for the year he was there, Kenyon Drake, James Conner, Chase Edmonds, all these guys when there are no other running backs to rely on, he has given them that true workhorse role. And that's what Eno Benjamin got last week. 86% snaps was the third highest mark of the week among any running backs. It didn't work out, but guess what? We are far better predicting the volume involved than we are predicting what's necessarily going to happen with it. And right now, Eno has more volume than just about anyone out there.
All right, DT Dynasty says that he is 0-6 in fantasy, so he needs help. We need to answer this question. You can only pick one. J.K. Dobbins, Kenyon Drake, Damian Harris. Which one are we going with?
Gee, just a bunch of hurt guys. I hope this is decided for me. So I don't love the vibes you're putting out there by saying your team's 0-6. You think that 0-6 team enjoys being put in the spot like that? Like, I don't know. But, in that situation, J.K. Dobbins last week, Harbaugh was careful with his words here. He just said, he locked up his knee. Didn't re-injure it, guys. He just locked it up. So that sounds absolutely horrific. And even before we got that news last week, the game before, when we didn't even have mention of this, Kenyon Drake still outsnapped J.K. Dobbins. So I got to go with Kenyon Drake right now, and I do think Damian Harris is probably going to miss another week. The Patriots call a guy week to week. He could be back in 1 week. He could be back in 6. He's going to be listed as questionable every single time. So hopefully we get some clarity involving Damian Harris. I do think that it is being a little quick to kind of bury Damian Harris here in this backfield and just anoint Ramondre Stevenson. People love to be right on our sleeper takes back from the preseason, and Stevenson's been fantastic. I believe a top 5 highest graded PFF running back, but let's put some respect on Damian Harris's name. Guy didn't score 15 touchdowns last year by an accident, and one cool stat I did find, I like yards after contact, but I think it gets skewed sometimes. Guy breaks a tackle, line of scrimmage, runs for 60 yards. It's not really 60 yards after contact. I like looking at the percentage of a player's carries that they had at least 2 yards after contact, and the only running back in the NFL over 80% of his carries with that, Damian Harris. So once he's back, I do think it's going to be far more split than what Ramondre Stevenson is seeing right now. Assuming he's hurt, though, sadly, give me Kenyon Drake.
You got one more?
Yeah, I got one more. Wide receiver position, Drake London or Brandon Ayuk?
I'm going to go with Drake London, I believe, still there. It's been unfortunate to see this Falcons offense be so good. I want to hate on Arthur Smith, but they're top 10 in points and EPA and, pretty much everything they're doing out there. Marcus Mariota is making it work, but we just haven't gotten the consistent pass catchers we want in fantasy land. And obviously Kyle Pitts and also Drake London, who gave us those 3 top 36 appearances to start the season. So I think he could catch Chidobe Awuzie's shadow. It's not going to be the easiest matchup in the world, but at the same time, it is only London and Kyle Pitts competing for that quarterback's affection over in San Francisco. Obviously, it could be Debo, it could be it could be George Kittle during any given week. Not loving this matchup against Kansas City, even though they are going to be, over home in San Francisco. Very close, but I will be sitting Ayuk in that.
Wait, I got one more. Our chat champ was asking, is Terry McLaurin a play now with Taylor Heineke playing quarterback? Are better days to come for Terry McLaurin? What do you think?
they can't get much worse. We did see him perform slightly better with Heineke last year. It was still disappointing relative to, the talent we all see when we watch Terry McLaurin play football out there. The problem was last year, Taylor Heineke was easily PFF's lowest graded quarterback on 20-plus yards throws downfield. I mean, I don't know if it was single play, maybe more mad last year, guys. Then Heineke rolls out. He pulls like the old Madden playmaker mode. He waves Terry McLaurin deeper downfield, underthrows him by 15 yards because he's Taylor Heineke and causes the dude to get concussed out there. So Taylor Heineke believes that Taylor Heineke can make every throw on the field, which I respect, but I don't know how that's going to exactly be working out when we've seen a lot of evidence so far that it really usually real life wise doesn't go too great. So I'd like to see Sam Howell out there, PFF's just finest guy that we've been hyping up over the years, see if he's anything. So in the meantime, I do think it's a slight upgrade because Heineke might be more willing to chuck it downfield to McLaurin rather than take these low A-dot dump downs to Curtis Samuel that we saw Carson Wentz doing. But overall, man, it's just why is it between Wentz and Heineke? Why did Ron Rivera and Washington put us in this position? We'll try and make the best of it.
Quote, it's Taylor Heineke time from Taylor Heineke. That's
exactly.
How it was. Ian, you're the best, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
Time for some bold predictions, baby. Let's get out of here with some bold predictions. Well, we're doing Thursday Night Football too, but we got to get to bold predictions first. Mike, when you look at this Week 7 slate of games, what is a player performance, a team performance, something where you're getting bold this week?
I think the Lions.
Nah, don't start with I think.
I predict
there it
the
is.
Lions
there
coming off a bye.
Do it.
Upset the Cowboys.
There it is.
And hold that D-line in check more so than any offensive line has. Now, this is a very good offensive tackle duo. Interior's played a little rough, but Penei Sewell on one side, Taylor Decker on the other side. Those guys are going to be able to get the job done, hold their own against this nitro package that the Cowboys roll out there on third downs. So we'll see. That's my bold prediction.
Lions getting the dub. I thought about it. I did think about that. But I couldn't. I couldn't sign off on it. They're. I'd love to see it. Is probably what I would say. I would love to see the Lions getting back in the win column, get out of that 1-4 start to start the season. My first one, I got two. My first bold prediction. You're gonna like this one. Romeo Doubs gets his first 100-yard game this week against the Washington Commanders. Let's see, okay? 8 catches, 73 yards versus Tampa in Week 3 was his career high to date. So he has not had a 100-yard game yet. But he's been playing a lot. 91.7% of the offensive snaps over the last 4 weeks. They're using this guy a ton. Washington, 10.4 average depth to target given up in coverage. That is worst in the NFL. Romeo Doubs can be a deep threat receiver, right? That was his profile coming into the draft. That's how he was able to get a lot of those yards against the Buccaneers. A couple of deep shots there. Let's see it again against Washington. How do we feel, Mike?
Yeah, their secondary is a joke.
Cam Curl's good. Cam Curl's good.
Cam Curl's good.
Okay, thank you.
Kendall Fuller's allowed the second most yards of any corner in the NFL. 380 yards. I mean, they benched William Jackson. He's getting chirped by Pac-Man Jones on Twitter
every week.
Can't even call back because he's not even seeing the field. So yeah, I can get on board with that.
Did you see the last video that he did? Where if you guys haven't seen this yet, if you go look at Adam Pac-Man Jones' Twitter. Him and William Jackson have beef because Pac-Man Jones, he's a Cincinnati guy through and through, and William Jackson left Cincinnati to go to Washington, and then he didn't have the best words to say about Cincinnati, and so Pac-Man Jones kind of had this little rivalry about him ever since. I'm pretty sure, so every week, Pac-Man Jones will say something like a clap at Will Jackson. And this past week, he did it. He was ranting and yelling at Will Jackson, and he was doing it from a plane. He was sitting down in a regular coach seat, and he's holding the phone up, and he's going off on William Jackson, and there's just people sitting around him.
That's not even the worst thing he's done at an airport. Have you ever seen the video of him just fighting a dude at an airport?
No.
He fought a dude at an airport. Or wait, I think it might have been
I
think he might have fought a woman at an airport.
Dude, I guess Pac-Man Jones wilding out at airport. I'm not going to search it. Okay. I'm not going to search it. You can search it. If you guys at home want to search it, you can. I've got one more bold prediction, okay?
Okay.
The Chicago Bears are playing against the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. This one's in New England. Chicago's not scoring a single touchdown in this game.
I don't know how bold that is.
Chicago's not scoring a single point in this game.
Okay, points bold.
Okay, there you go. Is that bold enough?
Yeah.
if you guys missed this on Twitter, somebody asked Bill Belichick about what he thought of the Chicago Bears. I don't know if the leading up question was like a backhanded insult to the Chicago Bears, because Bill Belichick goes off. Somebody asked him about it, and Bill Belichick, who is normally like a 1 or 2 word answer guy, said 1,000 words on how good the Bears are. He went down every single position: quarterback, running back, offensive line, wide receiver, special teams, defense, everything. He names these guys by name. He's naming Tristan Ebner. He's naming Dan Cruikshank,
Pro Bowler,
DeAndre Houston Carson, Trenton Gill,
player on the rise.
Like he's naming all of these players. Of course, like Justin Fields as well, Robert Quinn, Bayless Jones, Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, Dante Pettis, Darnell Mooney. Like he's naming all of these players by name, talking about exactly what they do well and exactly why this Bears team is a great young football team. Bill Belichick is only doing that if he has looked at the film and knows we are whooping this team's ass. This team is not crossing the 50-yard line against us, and I can say all the praise in the world because I already know what you're going to do. I already know who you're going to target. I know how you're going to target them, and I know how to stop it. Chicago's scoring 0 points this week on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, he knows how to play that game. He's a master. He's been doing it for like 50 years.
That's what I think. Yeah. I think 0 points. 0 points from the Chicago Bears this week. All right, we'll get you out of here on some Thursday Night Football bets. We've got the Arizona Cardinals versus the New Orleans Saints. It's a banged-up New Orleans Saints team, unfortunately. No Marshawn Lattimore, no Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. Maybe Jameis Winston? Probably not.
No.
So it just doesn't look great. Obviously,
Dalton's look good, though. Can't hit on Dalton.
Okay. So where are you going with this one? Let's talk spread. Let's talk over-under. Let's talk a prop bet. The spread on this one, I believe Arizona is the home team, favored by 2.5, so just less than the field goal. Over-under is 43.5. That is low. But Thursday Night Football hasn't exactly lit the world on fire. And then give me a prop bet. What do you got?
I'm going to go New Orleans cover, 2.5. I get that things have gone south there for them, but things have also gone south in Arizona. And even with DeAndre Hopkins back, I'm going to trust the Saints and their coach staff just a little bit more in this one, even if, honestly, I don't think this team's going anywhere this year.
Somebody in the chat just said, Robert Kraft got married last week. Do you think they got married for love? Yes. Yeah. I believe in it. I believe in it. There's no other reason.
No one else gets married for any other reason.
Right. What's the other reason to get married? Okay, so you're going with New Orleans. I'm going with Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm having faith. Kyler Murray's putting the work. Call of Duty hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's a big one.
And I'm gonna go with Arizona to cover that 2.5. I just think that New Orleans is too beat up right now. I'm gonna say over on the 43.5. Really low. Like I said, Thursday Night Football, it's not like that they've been lighting the world on fire with a ton of points at Thursday Night Football on a regular basis. But I'm gonna say over 43.5 for both these teams. And then I'm gonna talk about DeAndre Hopkins. Let's do it, baby. Over 5.5 receptions for DeAndre Hopkins. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm going with you on the over as well. And in a similar vein, I like the Hopkins bet, but I think that also means I like under A.J. Green 2.5 receptions because I don't think, his usefulness is outlived once DeAndre Hopkins is in the mix. And yeah, Robbie Anderson's probably not going to be a factor in this game, probably not yet on a short week getting traded, but I don't think he's throwing A.J. Green's way.
Rob said Fields runs for 2 TDs. I'm telling you, Chicago's not crossing the 50. It's not happening. Bill doesn't say that unless he totally has their number. No way. All right, there we go. You want to see the answer to the question of the day?
What's the answer?
Let's see it. Let's go back to the question of the day. If you guys have not submitted your answers yet, somebody corrected us in the chat. It wasn't 32-10. It was the Hail Mary game. It was a 32-30 finish. So it was close. It was a very close game. If that changes your answer, you can throw out another answer in there. I think that matters. That piece of evidence definitely matters. So last time a Call of Duty game was coming out and Kyler Murray was playing on that week, it was that 32-30 Hail Mary DeAndre Hopkins game against the Bills. What was Kyler Murray's PFF grade?
You guys ready? All right. Yeah, this was the Hail Murray game, 32-30. And the answer was you both busted, 66.9.
Damn.
I wanted to give a shout out to James Leesenring in the chat, who I'm pretty sure was just memeing around and said 69.69, but was actually really close.
Oh, that is pretty close. That's over though,
Still
so we
over.
can't give it to him.
It is over. I mean,
Coltrane just said 64.5, so that might be the closest.
That's pretty good. That's pretty close.
There's
There's a lot of busts though.
Man.
Pause.
Hey, yo. Yeah, I'm even scrolling up and I'm looking at some of the early ones. Dang, you guys are so close. Hopeful Lions fan said 68.9. Peter said 69.8. Tanner said 67.8. Price Right rules, though, you're going over. Patrick, 69.4. James said 68.3. Oh, man, you guys were close. James said 65. James Leesenring. I don't know if that was before or after 69.69, but.
Oh, can't scroll up enough.
Pretty close. Chat champ today, though, is going to be Captain Spock for some elite one-liners in the chat throughout the show.
You just called Schefter a douche.
Just called Schefter a douche. I don't know why I'm not clapping for that. I'm not clapping for that, but I'm clapping for Captain Spock being a chat champ. You know what that means, Captain Spock.
Gotta come back tomorrow.
Gotta come back tomorrow. Have to be in the chat tomorrow. You're going to be the deciding factor. And it's going to be a big one because it's trivia. We're switching it up. We're doing trivia on a Friday. We got a jam-packed Friday. Mike's not going to be here, so it's going to be the best show yet. We got our special guest, Seth Galena. He's going to be on in the show with me. He's going to be going through trivia. I'm very excited for that one. And we're going to have Tariq Woolen on the show. You guys, we're going back and forth so much about Defensive Rookie of the Year. We talked about it on Monday. You took Sauce Gardner. I took Tariq Woolen. A lot of people in the chat were fired up about Tariq Woolen, so we said, you know what? Let's get Tariq on the show.
That's why I'm not going to be here. I'm too scared to compete.
Yeah, because you picked Sauce, and you don't want to face the music.
I don't want to.
I'm bold enough. I picked Tariq Woolen as a potential Defensive Rookie of the Year, so I'm going to ask him all about it. We're going to have Tariq on the show tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Trevor Sikkema for Mike Renner, for everybody in the production suite. Thank you guys so much for watching Issues Football. We'll be back right here one more time this week, 11 a.m. We'll see you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game. It really is the best time of the year.